Hi, this is Amy Peikoff, and you've tuned in for News Sandwich, where I sandwich the bad news, of which there's plenty today, between two pieces of good news, try to make it more palatable. So let's get started. I've got good news for you today from the New York Times, in which the headline asks, a cure for type 1 diabetes? For one man, it seems to have worked. The man is Brian Shelton. He's 64, and he has taken part in a trial involving the infusion of cells that have been grown from stem cells that help the body actually produce its own insulin and regulate its own blood sugar levels. Mr. Shelton underwent this infusion of these cells in June of this year, and now apparently his body, for the first time, is able to control its insulin and blood sugar levels on its own. This is excellent news because, as we've learned in the last 18 months or so, there are a number of comorbidities that are not only health challenges in their own in terms of quality of life, but they make people more vulnerable to the coronavirus and other respiratory viruses. You are more likely to have complications, we are told now, if you suffer from these comorbidities. And this type 1 diabetes is one over which the person does not have control. It's not something that you can fix with diet or anything alone. So it's wonderful to hear that there's a potential therapy. Of course, this is early days. They're still doing the study. They want to see more people who are completely cured via this method, but it does give people hope. Now, as for the conditions, the comorbidities that people do have control over, you would think, well, that's also good news that we learn that we have control over them. But the problem has been, as Bill Maher pointed out in his recent interview with Chris Cuomo, that few people are talking about the comorbidities, particularly obesity, that people do have control over. You guys, you're hearing noise in the background. It's my cat scurrying across the floor and playing. So Maher had this very open and frank discussion, which was excellent on so many counts with Cuomo the other day, where he was pointing out that people won't talk about the comorbidities that are making Americans in particular more vulnerable to the virus. So obesity and the type 2 diabetes that often goes along with obesity, people won't discuss it, and they won't discuss the strategies that people can use to both improve them, improve their health generally, and then make themselves less vulnerable to the virus. Of course, Maher himself is among those people, and I think that Cuomo was a little bit uncomfortable having that discussion on CNN, but it was really great to see that discussion happening. So that's the good news that I want to leave you with, that there are people out there, and they aren't necessarily the people that you agree with ideologically. They don't share your viewpoint on many issues, particularly a lot of political issues, and yet they have respect for the truth. They have a respect for the need to call things as they see them. And as Maher said, when he's been telling the truth as he's seen it, week after week on his show, he gets people, he said, both from the right and the left, or from all kinds of places, calling for him to be deplatformed, and yet he continues to speak out the truth as he sees it. So kudos to him. He is the kind of person that we need to see more of, and that many of us who don't necessarily share all of his political views would like to have more productive conversations with, because I think with respect to a number of issues, we do really want to help people, and we do want to get information out to them, which has always been part of the liberal tradition, to go ahead and allow the free exchange of ideas. So that's the sandwich for today. Bill Maher, if you're out there, please come over to Parler. We'll both, give you a platform where you won't be shut down, you won't be censored, you won't be canceled. And at the same time, me in particular, I would love to have more productive conversations with you about all of these issues. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. Take care, and I'll see you for the next sandwich.